It was February, and one of the worst winters in recent memory had left us frozen to the core. We decided to brave the snow and stuff our faces with brunch. So put on your fuzzy sweaters, those snow boots you never actually bought, and join us in this adventure into the psyche of two infinite children. We're just glad you're here to partake. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Adventures of Danny and Mike, the podcast. He's got the self-satisfied smile of the secret farter, of the surreptitious flatulence.
It just feels so good when it comes out.
Welcome to episode 16 of The Adventures of Danny and Mike.
It's going to feel so good when this episode comes out.
To my right, Mr. Danny Tamborelli, and to his right, Mr. Michael C. Morona. And I am producer Jeremy. What were you guys talking about?
How it feels to fart when
we talked about poop
it's silent
and pee
and then
the
nobody
entire
knows.
last episode.
I'm usually the culprit, but in this case, Dan was escalating the game, shall we say.
You stepped up the game, son.
I had an SPD, and you thought it was Mike's, but it was mine.
Super pretty diarrhea.
My bad.
No, silent but deadly.
Oh, okay.
Dudes,
110 million of your fellow Americans have SBDs.
you write that sketch. Send it to SNL and they'll put it on. They accept submissions. I don't know if you're aware of that. Dudes, we haven't seen each other in like 3 months.
It's been
playing
great.
hooky.
It's been fucking,
Hasn't it been awesome?
Fucking awesome.
Why did you say that, Mike? Don't you like doing this?
Sure. I got to do my taxes once a year.
This is once a month. Well, twice a month.
I've been deducting a lot of stuff from the podcast.
Like what? Your bottled water that you don't bring? Oh, you brought a Gatorade today.
Studio
Oh, yeah,
time.
you brought me a Gatorade, but I didn't get it yet.
Interesting. There's something that you brought that I didn't get yet.
Hugs? A hug?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like a meaty hug?
Yeah, meaty hug.
Yeah.
He'll get one. He'll get one soon.
About that.
Yes, it's been a long time.
I hugged myself with 2 different types of meat today.
What do you mean, 2 different kinds?
I had chicken and I had sausage gravy.
Yeah.
It was like sausage soup. We our adventure was we had some chicken and waffles.
We went brunching.
We went brunching. A little Brooklyn brunch.
Everybody except Jeremy had chicken and waffles.
Well, is that yeah? That might be true.
Yeah, anything with the word with chicken in it, you're not going to eat it. So
unless it's I'm sure it's Brooklyn. You could find some sort of vegan chicken and waffles. I think that does exist. Who cares? Hey, fellas.
Nobody.
What about that sausage soup? What about that heart attack soup, y'all? Y'all should get down on that.
Recently, I guess on the weekends, I've been eating a lot of brown and tan foods with resulting effects on the southern end.
What?
You know, like you
We
eat
can't
like
get away from
grits,
soup fart jokes.
gravy. They're not, deeply colored things. They're sort of blandish tan things.
But
So you're saying you have blandish tan movements?
The blandish tan movements. Yes,
That's a new band name.
No,
Christian rock band.
that was actually the turning point of the Korean War.
Right.
Was the blandish tan movements? Yeah. The U.S. decided to attack. The Allies attacked during a religious holiday. And
The blandest. A little choked up off of that. That was emotional for me.
Yeah, wow.
I also
It's the
danced.
first time you've ever made Jeremy cry.
I also gave my final recital to the blandish tan concerto. Fuck, I was so close.
It's all right. We got what
You'll get
picked
there.
it up what you were throwing out.
I'll get that.
Ay, ay, ay.
So yeah, we're just easing back into it, ladies and gentlemen.
With more poop jokes.
Like a big guy into a jacuzzi.
Just easing into
Just
it.
easing in. Not invited.
No. The water is not going to overflow. I promise.
Yeah,
I can Oh,
Yeah.
and then it happens.
Scaring away all the women.
Like a Paul Simon song. Slip sliding away. Is that Simon or is that Simon and Garfunkel?
That's Simone. That's
Simone
actually,
and
That's actually
Garfunkel.
his French
Nina Simone?
analog.
No.
I know what I know, though.
Sorry, I'll stop jumping in. God.
Jump in at any time. Especially if you have something to add about the
Yeah, just don't do a
Browns.
cannonball, okay?
the tan.
Mike,
What?
You were really mean to me at brunch today.
Why?
Because I haven't seen you in 3 months.
And
you're sitting on a bench waiting. We're early. I'm 10 minutes late, right? As always, I'm late.
I was on time. So I was on time.
You were
is
on
what
time.
You're saying.
My
and
fault,
I was
though,
late.
this time.
So if you played for Tom Coughlin, what situation would you be in?
I'd be in deep
Water
shit
boy would be a
because when he tells you what time to be there, if you're not there 5 minutes earlier than that, you're fine.
So
Every 5 minutes, the shade of his face gets pinker.
Where should you find yourself on the brunch depth chart come Sunday?
On the inactive list.
Right, you should not actually even be dressing. You should not be suited up.
Well, stop. No. You're putting this on me now. I'm just trying to tell you that you hurt my feelings today. Because
I know. I'm trying to distract you.
In 3 months, and the first thing you say to me is, "Hey, man, I met some fucking guy that is really annoying last week, and guess what? His name is Dan. He kind of reminds me of you. You know why? Because he's fat and
stop.
stupid.
You're so annoying.
Because he's fat and stupid.
Well, you always got to harp on the mean stuff.
Well,
I said hello to you before that. And I said, "How are you?"
It wasn't a very nice.
No, I did. I was like, "How was California?" Remember, I asked you about that stuff.
Okay,
the very first thing was I only made 4 reservations.
Yeah, reservations.
The reservation's only for 4.
Four. Yeah.
Jeremy, you're part of this podcast, but I didn't think you were going to be on the adventure.
Yeah. This doesn't surprise me at all. That was the least surprising thing of the day so far.
Kind of the whole adventure was sort of dropped upon us. Like a fully formed Ark of the Covenant.
Well, unfortunately, we're all
busy
people,
doing stuff. I was in California. Whoa, bro, totally cool. Now I'm back in snowy New York City. It's great.
It's wonderful.
But we couldn't make everything happen. And our guest Ramon was leaving in a couple days. Is leaving in a couple days.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
So it was the only time we could make it happen. It was this Sunday.
For the listener, Ramon will be gone by the time you hear this.
Yes, he will. He will have left.
He'll be at the knit.
No, he'll be in Chicago.
Chi-Town. There's a knit there. I think there is a knit there. No, that's
Spokane, Washington, bro. That's where it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see you guys. I haven't seen you in so long, and I feel like, you know what? If you're really like butthurt about him hurting your feelings, maybe you should do role reversal. Do a little therapy.
Yeah, why don't you call me fat and dumb for a while?
But you're not fat and dumb.
No, but
so it doesn't work, does it?
Mike, and he has to be Danny. That's how this therapy works.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead, Danny. Would you like have something you'd like to say to Mike?
Sure. Hey, Mike, smoke some of my weed. Oops, there's none left. Sorry, gonna just go home.
And Mike, how would you respond to that?
Well, I'm sorry that happened, but I'm sure there was a good reason behind it.
This Mike's a good guy. I'll keep him around. He seems really. He gets me. He really understands me.
Yeah, you're.
Despite what a shitty friend I am, he's still there for me. I
know,
this Mike.
but look, I know that Danny has some problems. I understand that. I know that.
Well, this Mike gets me. He's got empathy.
And this is the part
you're
where
going through some stuff, and I understand that. But you know what? I just want you to know.
Bam, and reversal,
and Jeremy walks in. Hey guys, ready for brunch.
I just wanted you to know that you're still kind of that same fat, dumb, ugly guy I always thought you were, but? I love you.
Guys, we did it.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
If we could clap on air, we would, but it would screw up the podcast.
I get the biggest headache. What just happened?
I'm not sure. I think we're on that show, Improv for Humans.
What show?
That was Freaky Friday or Sunday. I think that was great though. I think you guys mended a lot.
I think I feel a lot better. I do feel a lot better now. Actually,
that was because you just had another SBD.
Yeah.
No. I didn't have an SBD at all.
What this
I'm
one?
I'm just saying that
this one you can't smell either.
Feeling like it's
just a BD.
I felt thinner. I felt like I could maybe go play soccer.
You felt clean shaven.
I felt clean shaven.
You had like one chin.
You're not gonna go play soccer.
Well, now
snow soccer is
great.
Yeah,
super fun.
A lot of fun.
Boozy snow soccer.
Boozy. No, I've not had a sip of alcohol.
Oh, you
today.
a BSS guy too?
He is big time. He's in the BSS league. The BSSL. Is what
you look like a BSS guy myself.
I don't know how I feel about all this collusion between the two of you.
Oh, I already talked about how to go out and play snow football, we would put plastic bags in our socks inside our sneakers. So I have nothing to add.
I feel like that is a wives' tale, and when you do that, your feet can't sweat, right?
No, it works.
Oh, it does?
You don't care about your feet sweating. You just care about not getting freezing snow in it.
Then in the end, your feet do get wet with sweat.
Yeah, your feet rot off.
But I guess
actually what happens is your feet rot off because their feet can't breathe.
My mother was always baking up 2 new sets of feet whenever my brother and I were there.
I want whole wheat this time.
Yeah.
Whole wheat feet.
Buckwheat. I had buckwheat feet.
Oh,
Poppy seed beet.
If there's anything that we can take out of this that can make us happy, is that I think winter will be over in about 3 weeks. But I've been saying that for 3 weeks. So
for the listener, Jeremy's nose is growing as he says this.
It's not my nose, son.
That's disgusting, is what that is, and you should get that looked at by the doctor. It's leaking.
What?
There's something on his neck and it's starting to stain.
I can't remember when it broke last year, but I feel like we're getting closer. I mean, it is snowing currently as I say this.
The fever never
outside.
broke. The fever never broke.
Yeah. The fever for the flavor?
Somebody said you had it going on.
Yeah.
Wow, guys.
I mean, yeah, we grew up in a very specific slice of 90s rap and late 80s rap. I mean, some of them had some explicit language, some of them didn't.
I mean, if you put I'm in love with the Coco up against, I don't know, anything from Rakim
Cream
and Eric B. I don't know how. Maybe I'm old.
Men at Work,
maybe I'm old
little
segment.
Cool G Rap and DJ Polo.
You are old.
Well, you are too, though, man.
What
My point is that
about it?
I think lyrically, I think as a piece, as a whole, I think it's we're in a worse place now than we were there 25 years ago.
Well, when little kids don't know who Wu-Tang is, they're
hip-hop
listening to rap music.
Well, I mean, clearly something's wrong. Clearly something wrong is in the state of affairs because Wu-Tang is for the children. So if there's children out there that don't know that, it's kind of like, it's like if you had a benefit that you didn't know that you were eligible for, and then you didn't, it's like unclaimed money in the state office of money claiming.
Right.
Cool.
What?
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
The comptroller is trying to comptrol you. He's trying to make you into a little puppet. He's the puppet master.
I'm not really good with
This must be
politics,
a Brooklyn thing.
really.
I'm not.
He's comptrolling you through your money.
And I still don't get it.
Let's just move on.
That's because you're a comptroll.
I think we can all
dare
agree
you.
that
How dare
old
you?
school hip hop is better than anything that's coming out right now.
Really?
I'm in love with the cocoa though.
Really?
The hot chocolate.
I feel like everything in a lot of genres is subjective. So the fact that people have been alive for the entire lifespan of an art form is a very special time. Like imagine being around when I try to use this example all the time, but like I tried being around when ballet was invented. Do you think it was like the best ballet that ever existed was at first, or there was a golden age of ballet and now we're on the backside of it?
Right.
No,
Hip hop
hip
hop has been around just like one human lifetime, and there are people alive who have seen all of hip hop, not all of it in every place, but the whole lifetime of it, which is awesome.
Grandmaster Caz, he's still alive, isn't he?
A number of people.
Can you put your self in the audience for the very first ballet show ever?
Hey, where you from? Hey, Brooklyn. Yeah, they do ballet there. What's it like?
People twirl around a lot.
Yeah, people spin around, and there's like a taxi going by, and they give them like an artisanal pickle or something. What's it like over there?
Someone yells, "Hey, I'm walking here."
Yeah. Anyway, here's the show. Check out the ballet.
Watch out the spinner.
Yeah, check out the ballet. Keep your head down.
Watch me twirl. Watch me spin.
Keep your head down when the guy spins around.
I'm pretty sure that was exactly how it went.
The first ballet in Brooklyn. Is that what you were asking?
A lullaby. Yeah, that's basic. No, I didn't even say Brooklyn. I just said in general.
No, I'm saying like things are all art forms are subjective. We're lucky enough that we could look at the Van Gogh now and say, "Hey, that's awesome.
That's really nice."
That's awesome now. It was awesome then. If it had been around 200 years before, it would have broke everybody's brains.
Right.
But we can still appreciate it for what it is right now, as opposed to you look at like Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible was ill at the time. Mission Impossible was ill at the time. We look at it now, it's like, it's kind of, I don't know if it really holds up. I don't know if it really holds up.
Cabbage Patch Kid movie, same
Knight
deal.
Rider.
There's certain
and
Right
not
as well.
nearly as cool watching it as an adult.
and again, I'll say this, and I've said it too many times. Nobody ever died on the A-Team. All those bullets fired, like thousands of rounds, thousands of rounds expended, and nobody. I saw like 5 drops of blood in all of the A-Team, and they were all from knife wounds.
It's funny you say that because now we work on, well, I don't know, Elementary, specifically the TV show that I work on sometimes, they have like severed heads and severed bodies and like
Guns
and blood, you know what I mean?
Flamethrowers.
Yours probably too.
Guns,
It's a
baby.
bit of a,
Guns, baby.
yeah, it's all about the guns, Benjamin.
What do you mean? Like it's? Are you saying it's like you're lowering the threshold of violence? I didn't see what you were getting at there.
I think it's just a big, a change
It's
from
a
when
jump.
and I guess that just means that us as viewers are watching more violent things.
We've been inured, to more violence. It's true.
I blame it on the video game kids.
When you think about it, that video game commercial when they had the Lou Reed song,
Recently.
and everyone's just shooting everybody and smiling, and nobody's getting killed.
Which one? Waiting for the Man?
No, it's a perfect day.
Oh,
It's
I know
such a
that.
perfect day.
Yeah, I know the song.
I feel like Rambo was the first.
Oh,
I remember that Rambo, there was a
Rambo
big
had the
discussion.
most- yeah,
That was
like-
not a good video game, though. Did you ever play that video
No,
game?
I played Contra.
Contra's the
Contra
best.
Well, no, Contra's dope, but
Yeah.
Rambo was this sort of like hybrid video
I
game
don't
where you had
remember it.
it was weird. You had to like, it was a different format. You had to like equip things and do things. It was sort of like a puzzle stage type of game.
For
It
Nintendo?
wasn't. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't just a side-scrolling, knife 'em up.
One year I got Paperboy for Christmas on Nintendo, and it just shows you who I am today.
You saved up for the handlebars controller.
Well, did they have one of those?
Oh yeah, they
No, I
sold
didn't. I
it
couldn't
at
do
Toys
that.
R Us.
I did get the Game
I don't
Genie
believe that.
one
They
year.
do not have that. That's not real.
You got the Game Genie, so you get an automatic subscription. That's what happens in That's what happens in Paperboy, the Game Genie.
What were you saying about Rambo? Was the
Well, that might have been one of the
most dead body
Yeah.
pileups in
most
all
deaths
movies.
in movie up until that point.
I
I'm
gotta
sure.
say, I've
Pulp
only
Fiction
seen
blew
it.
out of the water.
I've only seen it on Channel 9. So,
So it's all edited.
but it was dope. You didn't realize that Dennehy is in it, and it's like, oh yeah, he should have played Rob Ford. These are my obsessions. For Al Pacino to play Andrew Cuomo, and for Brian Dennehy to play Rob Ford, the former mayor of Toronto.
They
Just
all
to play
move in
these.
together in an apartment in San Francisco.
No, just like, oh, that'd be cool too. Like the
Perfect Strangers?
the ex-presidents. But no, for them to play these like sort of broken, crumbled men looking back at their like narrating and recounting their rise and fall.
I mean,
Copyright
Chris Christie's in there too.
2015. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
But who's going to play him? Good question.
Don't you
John
look
Goodman.
at me. Okay, good. I thought you were making a fat joke.
John Goodman, that's below him. That's well below.
I would
him.
never. I'd never play Chris Christie.
For the listener, as I said John Goodman, Jeremy pointed at Danny behind his
never,
back. It happened.
do that. It would be a SAG day rate.
you.
I get you under 5.
Standard SAG contract. Yeah, I don't know. I
Side
don't know
biscuit.
about that
Standard
one.
side biscuits. Well, so how'd you get to Amarillo to work for this job? I really took not much, just biscuits. What do you mean? We're paying him in biscuits.
Those biscuits at that brunch
I
place.
think he
was
thinks it's slang for money, but he hasn't really said the word money. So we're just gonna keep with the biscuits.
I
go
think
with
he's a
biscuits.
method. I think he's a method guy. He refuses to take off the little Jimmy hat.
Wait, is it a
not
little-
not
no,
a
okay,
condom.
never mind.
The Jimmy hat was a little Petey hat. That's probably what you're making a joke about, correct?
What was the name of your character in the Grand Theft Auto games?
Yeah, Jimmy. Jimmy DeSanta.
I'm sorry, the Grand Theft Auto game that I've never played because I never got a free copy of it.
Well, you have PS3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm behind the times.
Okay, well here we go. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give that to you.
You give me a used copy.
After you've already promised it to me. Just FYI.
No.
This is the same
This
thing
is
we're coming rounding back
This
to.
is no. I'm gonna take it from. I'm gonna get it back from my father.
Okay, if you want to get it back,
And I'll give it
hey
to you,
Jeremy,
'cause you
have
don't
you?
He
have-
doesn't
he's
have
got
a
a P-
PS3.
No, I'm saying PS3 for
pointed at him.
PS4 because PS3 I got and I gave to my dad.
Jeremy-
PS4 is up for grabs.
Hey, Jeremy, have you ever watched an episode of Pete and Pete? Just a question. Have you ever watched an episode of Pete and Pete?
I have, but you're getting the PS3 version. But here's the thing. The PS4 version has been sitting there for 2 months after you've got it.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of stuff to do.
He's increasing it in value.
We had man boobs related stuff to get done. We had stuff in California to do. And I didn't want you dicking around playing the GTA on PS4, wasting your time.
Well, first of all, you don't get to manage.
You see this stuff? You see this stuff? I use this stuff. Don't use this stuff.
I can totally manage your time when it comes to a video game that I may or may not give you.
Right over there.
Well, that's fine. Then I'm not. That's your own fault. Then so I'm not aiding in your.
Call that my depression box. That's my only friend for hours.
Ladies and gentlemen,
day.
now we know how Jeremy feels today.
It's a therapy box. It's a therapy box.
Any lucky ladies out there,
just go on
in the New York area,
PlayStation
please
app,
go on DannyandMike.
Become my friend
and send emails to Jeremy Balin.
Lonely bastard at DannyandMike.com.
Do you like to play video games, or do you not care if your man plays video games?
Yeah,
then contact us.
Our buddy Brendan, he is the video game dude. He's the
Jeremy
one
Dolo at DannyandMike.com.
YOLO. Yeah.
I gotta say, I think I played more video games than anybody in the podcast.
I would agree with that.
I mean, it depends on.
Although
I've been playing the crap out of soccer on my iPad.
That doesn't
and
count.
Wolfenstein 3D.
Nope.
Wait, Killing Krauts is extra credit.
Dude,
but does it count on a phone or a tablet?
No. I think we're talking Nintendo. We're talking
that's a gaming machine.
Okay, we're talking Atari is a gaming machine.
Dedicated
Thank
console.
You very much. The old school
Atari.
Yeah.
Now it's just a
oh man
reference.
When we were in LA, I went to Meltdown Comics, and they had a whole section of like old school games, and they have these consoles now that it's like for $30 you can get the Nintendo console, so you can play all your old school Nintendo games. Or they have now.
What do you mean for
like,
$30?
Well, it's like an all-in-one system.
Yeah, it's like
you can play Sega. You can play for $50. You can play Sega and Nintendo.
I've seen the ones that are just a joystick that plugs into the television.
This was like a controller, but it's not the Nintendo controller. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't that, which was the bad part of the whole thing.
Anyways, there's emulators, and then there's the real thing.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I did get into was what is the? Now I can't think.
Oh, Diet Coke. It's a lot better than regular.
I got into The Last of Us remastered.
Fucking brands we hate. Coca-Cola, suck it.
Wow.
Yeah,
finally, I was wondering if we were gonna get into some brand hatred.
Snatching the initiative from you like a penny candy.
Last of Us. Did you play that on PS3?
No, I haven't played that.
Good. Let's make this a games podcast. This is kind of fun.
No, that was well promoted.
Everybody else does that.
What? I've played games. Games have been played.
Maybe that's our bi-monthly. We have a game podcast.
No, I'm not a player. I just game a lot.
I know. I know.
Thanks, twin.
Boozy brunch.
For the PS3, I have not played this calendar year, so.
Oh, really? That's good.
Yeah, but that
means you've been productive.
You'd like to think so, but it still puts
How's your kombucha?
It's not his.
It still puts me at 29 consecutive years of gaming, I think.
Yeah,
that's
every
a
year.
lot.
That's good, though.
That's more than me, because I'm only 33.
I think it puts me at 20.
I started out on the Tandy. That's when we would do Wolfenstein and Bird versus Jordan versus Bird.
On the
Tandy. You had the floppy disks.
I did not count my Texas Instruments.
I think you have.
I didn't count my 286 either.
My Texas Instruments 99 4A with the cartridges and cassette tape programs.
That's old. Wow.
I'm an old man, ladies. Check me out.
His email is Michael C. at
AOL.
Morona's Meat Shack
at AOL.com.
God, will somebody just register that already?
Yeah, Morona's Meat Shack. It's got to be the best
and just have
website name.
A full page video of just swinging meat and just Mike's smiling in the foreground.
By the time they found Carbone, he was frozen so solid. It took him 3 days to thaw him out for the autopsy.
You could just have that music repeat in the background. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, we've covered video games. We've covered waffles and chicken.
We've covered biscuits and sausage gravy.
We've covered
gravy
our
sausage soup is what it was.
Our lapse in podcast performance.
Although we haven't really explained it as much as glossed over it. Like a tin ceiling.
Well, when you do a bunch of those shows in a row and then we had them all stacked together,
like pancakes that Jeremy didn't finish at brunch.
Thank you.
And
we
could dish them out. And
like
give you guys a little bit
maraschino
of, like, holiday
cherries from
cheer.
Red Hook.
And then January happened, and we all know how that podcast last year went.
January is a month of death, as I said.
Correct.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And February was not so bad. It was just everybody got a little busy.
I'm going to put that on a sampler.
But now,
Remix that.
today is March 1st.
That's unbelievable, kind of.
So
rabbit.
we're getting, it's March 1st and it's snowing in Brooklyn.
It's going to be over soon, everybody. Just hold tight. Stand your ground.
For the listener, Jeremy is packing a go bag and booking an online flight.
Oh, to Costa Rica? Pura vida, man.
Just
Pura
typed in
vida.
warmth, and it took me to
Pura vida.
La Costa. Well, gentlemen,
Costa Cabana, where Jeremy Balon's cabana. I guess you could say that Ween is also musical imitators the way I convicted Billy Joel of being a musical imitator. The good genre.
Didn't we edit that out of the podcast? Do you want to talk about
Dabblers.
that?
it's our failed
Too late.
segment portion.
Too late.
Yeah. I think the segments in general just, it's good. We just sit down and bullshit.
Hey guys, if you guys want to ask us questions, go for it. Send us a message.
Send us
Danny
Ween
and Mike.
Send us Ween covers.
Ween cover
Danny and Mike.
ideas, and maybe we'll
If you send us a
post
wing
some
cover,
videos.
we'll put that in the podcast.
We
How about
appreciate Brent Griffiths for sending
Make 'em
in
funny.
the Batman illustrated punching
nice
photo.
Yes, I'm glad that you said that.
Thank you for responding to the sound of my voice. I
that? The memes. all
hope
the
I can
memes you
condition
guys are
my
making.
cat to do the same thing.
Yeah, there's a crazy meme maker hanging out.
Hanging
Like
out.
those memes.
Big ups to Jesse.
Jesse Spano.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so scared.
What are you guys doing?
Oh, see, that's so. Here we go. There's our
Classic-
Classic
Classic mirth
between.
making. Actually,
Were you
I'm so
not-
old.
were you
I'm
not
so old.
into
I
that?
remember Miss Bliss. Okay, I'm old school on your. And when he went to college with Stacey Carosi, I'm all over it. I got the Alpha and the Omega of Bayside.
Alpha and Omega, Kingdom Come.
Screechnovich, just win the game. Just win the game.
Are in the thorn trees. The virgins are all trimming their wisps.
Did we talk about the fact that we went to a Pearl
That's my
Jam?
Johnny Cash. Come on, guys.
We went to a Pearl
Okay.
Jam concert for my birthday in August, and there was a guy
Yeah, thank
who
God.
thought that Johnny
No,
Cash. should-
it wasn't a Pearl Jam
Oh,
concert.
it was
It
Nine
was
Inch
a
Nails.
Nine
Yeah,
Inch
yeah.
Nails and Soundgarden
Soundgarden.
concert. Let's get it right.
Michael Morona and Danny Tamborelli podcast is produced by Marianne Ways and Jeremy Malin.
I think that means you have to go. Well, stick around.
Ramon Rivas.
is here. He's going to talk to us, hopefully. And
If he still likes us because we made him wait outside for brunch for an hour and a half.
For the
Yeah,
listener,
suppose.
he's going to talk to us.
okay, we'll see. We'll see what
Spoiler
happens.
alert, Mike.
We'll be right back. So, full disclosure, we've had 2 months off because of the winters. We haven't been podcasting for 2 months.
We've hibernated for 2 months.
We've been hibernating.
And we just had 2 entrees each.
Back with a vengeance.
That's right.
Hibernation ends when you decide to have 2 breakfasts.
Yeah.
Hibernation plus chicken and waffles minus the chicken for me equals a slow start to a podcast.
Are you a vegan?
No, I'm just a vegetarian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That sultry voice from the other side of the couch, Ramon Rivas, our guest.
Hi.
This afternoon for this here podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
My name is Ramon. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I'm swarthy. I guess. I guess that's a thing I am.
He fits the description.
Yeah, I fit very many descriptions.
Wait. Mike thought he was your description earlier.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He checked in at the brunch spot.
Checked in as Ramon. I don't know why you did that, but you did it.
To add a sense of urgency to the whole mission, which backfired in a big way.
Horribly.
Hey, good things come to those who wait. And we experienced a true New York City, Brooklyn
Where's my cigar commercial?
Mr. Punch.
Where's my cigar commercial?
Don't worry about that.
We're recording?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, we don't like to tell our
Sneak
guests.
attack is
Oh,
what
it's very
we
cash.
is what we call it. A little
Very
sneak attack.
cash. I
Super
like it.
cash, yeah. So yeah, our adventure this month was a very full stomach full of chicken and waffles.
Well,
Why is Danny hitting? I mean, but what's
I'm
his
getting
name?
hit in
Mike.
the head by Michael Morona.
Why is
C.
that?
Morona. What are you doing?
He's just...
I'm
You're fucking with my man bun, dude?
I'm fucking up your samurai
Just
do.
let me do my thing, you know?
Yeah, we went to Pies and Thighs because the plan was to get brunch before the podcast. And Morona suggested Pies and Thighs.
Yeah, Morona fully suggested Pies and Thighs.
Now, I'd had it before, and I had other people wanting to go there this trip. But I feel like it's solid chicken, but it's more like hippie, like hipstery chicken. Like there's no bulletproof glass in the establishment, which really like
brings the chicken.
It takes the chicken like you're not protecting your investment like at all. So that was all right.
I also buy my wine from a non-bulletproof glass
Man,
vendor, so maybe I'm not conditioned.
yeah, man, you ain't meant for these streets.
But he's the only one here from Brooklyn.
He is the only one here from Brooklyn. And we got there, waited outside for like an hour and a half.
In the snow.
We watched about half an inch of snowfall
Yeah.
on our persons.
Informer.
You know,
A nigga boom, yeah.
look at that teamwork, crushing it.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can all agree that was the peak of everybody's musical.
Abilities.
Yeah.
12 inches of snow?
No, The Informer.
That was the album.
That was the album was 12 inches of
the
snow?
reference he
See?
was making.
I didn't get as far as the record. I just got the song, and that was it.
Damn.
You look to me like the type of guy who bought the CD Maxi single. Of
You look like the type of guy who still follows Snow on tour.
That is you, right?
It is me. I'm the only one. Those shows are so lonely these days.
Yeah, it's mostly just me going and smoking weed with him in the living room. That's pretty much
It's
it.
cool. He still has those glasses.
Yeah.
Same ones.
He's a New York guy? Snow, the Informer?
I don't know. He sounded like he was from Jamaica, but I'm not
he
sure.
wore a Giants hat or something, though.
That could have just been fashion.
That's true.
It's one of those cool old starter ones. That had
Yeah.
not a big Chicago Bears fan, but I would rock that hat. That old school version of it.
As I admitted, Grandpa bought me a Chicago Blackhawks starter jacket when I was 13.
Wow, that's a strong admittal.
I came clean on this one before. I've already admitted this, so it gets easier each time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where's your fan? Where's your fan? Because you like soccer, right? If I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, more than anything else.
I would say currently.
Okay. When did that take the place of something else? Like, were you a different sport first?
I feel like I've just added another arrow to my quiver as opposed to knocking any arrows out of my quiver.
Okay. I got you.
But also, I used to go to more sports games, I think, than I do. I haven't been to the new Giants air conditioner stadium since they moved out of their old one,
Oh, man.
which is about 4 years ago now, right?
Yeah, it was after they won the Super Bowl.
Do you feel
First time.
less engaged when you don't go to sporting events?
I can enjoy almost all of them except the weather on television, so it's not really the same, but I think you can eventually attenuate your emotional response the less you're at the live event.
Okay.
Don't you feel?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I like sports. Like, I'm really into like Cleveland sports because I'm from Cleveland, but I don't. I'm definitely lapsed in my viewership of it, but then when I got back into video games and sports video games, I got more into the sports again.
Because you can see how they track alongside.
Yeah, and you could kind of just get invested in people a little more and just follow it. Like, the Indians for a number of years were just really anonymous batch of players that you wouldn't know unless, playing the game and taking them through the farm system, kind of get a little more into it.
That's why I like to play fantasy football.
No, there's too much.
But then I like to find out more about other players, and I'm not just a narcissistic Giants fan.
I'm really about playing equipment manager right now. That's my biggest. It's
fantasy equipment. I've got Drew Brees' jockstrap,
and I know actually I have the grass from Wrigley Field going up against the turf from the Link this week. It's a matchup. I'm starting 2 groundsmen, so it should be good.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully they're veteran groundsmen.
Equipment manager for all the systems coming out this winter.
So you grew up a Browns fan?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Would it be accurate to say you were found in the dog pound?
I was found in the dog pound. I mean, Cleveland's a really weird city. It's very rabid sports fandom. The Browns have even though they're one of the worst teams, since they came back into the league, they've done studies where we have the biggest fan base of all sports,
Really?
just Browns backers clubs all over the world. It's so weird. I feel like Cleveland as a city everyone knows it as a point of reference, whether it's for sports misery or for the river catching on fire, for whatever, for LeBron leaving, for any number of things. But it's a point of reference still. Everyone knows it.
It's Drew Carey.
It's not that hard for people to be acquainted with the color brown, though. You know what I mean? If the Miami Dolphins, that's very specific. Not everybody has seen a dolphin, but almost everybody has seen the color brown and knows what it is when they see it.
That's very true.
As opposed to a Bengal or a bear cat or a dolphin.
Yeah.
But giants don't exist.
No.
What are you talking about?
What?
We went to the Motor Museum. The guy who...
Oh, that's right.
The guy who
put Spud Webb inside this guy's ribcage.
It was Muggsy Bogues. It was Muggsy Bogues. Yeah. It was not...
The real Muggsy Bogues. Yeah. He's just picking up some extra scratch. I'm just in this dude's torso.
He does weekends at the museum.
I'm subletting this dude's ribcage.
Giantism is real. Check it out.
I wonder if it's rent controlled.
But not everybody's seen that.
But
a lot of people like the Giants. Is what I was getting at.
But yeah, just Cleveland in general. I feel like the people there they support the sports teams no matter how shitty they are. So I've been trying to since I've been doing comedy, I've been trying to get that same fervor behind performance arts. It's challenging, but it's been the last 5 years. It's definitely progressed towards that end.
You're establishing the Cleveland brand.
Yeah, it's to a point where I've had some dudes who are dads basically take me to dinner, and they're we view comedy as a civic engagement the same way the Cleveland Orchestra or Playhouse Square, which is where all the theater stuff happens. We view it as a civic engagement, those two things. How can we help more people feel like that? So it's cool that it's gotten to a point where people
are talking about
it, and most everyone's heard I hear there's a comedy scene, there's something I hear you gotta go see comedy. So it's definitely been a slow build, but now it's definitely when I put something out, I notice that it's picked up coverage wise. I don't have to bother people to run things and cover things. Now there's actually a little more of people noticing.
How many free papers are there in Cleveland?
There's one.
That's very easy then, you know to tell them.
Yeah, you just tell them. There's a couple other bullshit ones, but
you've been printing your own newspaper again?
Oh,
what
no.
What the fuck did I tell you? What did I tell you about that?
Yeah, I have my own zine.
What was it called?
It was called Gazellarelli. It was about, runners.
Him taking leaps.
My leap through life.
Yeah.
My leap through life.
It was actually how he's a sneakerhead and he collects Adidas.
Yeah.
Gazellarelli.
I also try to sell my cell phones on that. Gazelle.
That's too much.
All right. Well,
too much.
I just had to say it.
You got it out of the way.
It's out.
Well, as a lifelong Bengals fan, I can say that, it's funny because they make a big thing about the Battle of Ohio and people... those butting heads, but I've always said that Pittsburgh's our bigger rival. Yeah, I mean, probably you guys too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, fuck Pittsburgh. I'm so sorry, Pittsburgh. But
we just lost Pittsburgh.
I fucking hate your fucking
team. They just fell off the map.
Boy.
But it's weird to see the city they go into a fervor for sports and just an example when recently in Cleveland a police officer shot the unarmed black teen Tamir Rice, right? And everyone's some people are like, we need to hold some people accountable somehow, and most people in the general public in Cleveland just like didn't care, just ignored it. But at the same time, like the Browns were like starting to lose games, and people were like, we need to figure something out, we need to do something, and like they changed quarterbacks, and they fired this guy and that guy, and it's just like, how can you want accountability like in this building and have all this passion for this game, but like nothing outside of that?
When one of your fellow citizens is murdered.
Yeah, and it's frustrating things like that where it's just like, it's the emotion is there, it's just figuring out how to like apply it properly.
I think as sports is a good, I mean, how else can Cleveland feel equal with New York City? We have more people than them, more people, more industry.
Yeah, more industry.
We probably have less El Caminos, but everything else we have more.
The one thing I will say is there's less. Cleveland has a better overall quality of life, I would say.
Oh, that's it for the Danny and Mike podcast. Thank you very much. Our guest has been Razor Ramon.
No, I mean that in the sense that, like, obviously in New York, if you have a certain amount of money or affluence, you can
do what you want,
do whatever the fuck you want. But for like the average person, you're working just to make the money to stay in New York, and that's kind of it. That's the cycle you're in. And then in Cleveland, like I lived in a 2-bedroom.
Yeah, you're a rich, good-looking guy in Cleveland.
Well, yeah, kind of. I had a 2-bedroom apartment with a basement and a washer and dryer, and it was $550 a month, and my half of rent was $275. So
no
it's
doubt.
just like
right.
you stretch a little farther. You can.
That hurts my brains.
Yeah, and it's just like.
Get this: the electric company, they pay you.
Yeah.
To take their electricity. They produce so much of it.
But overall, like, yeah, we don't have industry, we don't have thing, but we do have shows where people come out. We do have 2 comedy clubs. Like
you're generating other things.
We have a lot of the same things New York has, just not on the scale.
Annoying white people with glasses and sweaters.
Yeah, they're there. God. They're gentrifying. They're opening cupcake shops and fucking.
He's wearing a sweater. For the listener, he's wearing a sweater.
Yeah.
For the listener,
he just literally described himself. He looked in the mirror and just rattled off what he was wearing.
I'm never going to open up a cupcake shop. That'd never be me, because I'm leaving the past.
No, man. You can't.
There has to be another level for the cupcake shop. Like, there has to be some other hipster thing that, like...
It's kombucha shops and,
Let's score another one for Mike.
Cupcake,
he just went to
decorating.
Kombucha. Boop, boop.
He's like, ooh, I gotta go get some
cupcake decorating classes.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you meet people in romantic comedies, right?
Food prep classes.
Yeah.
I took a class that says that I'm lonely, but I'm also upscale enough to afford this romantic adventure.
I'm up for anything.
It's like I took a sushi rolling class because I want to meet somebody.
Yeah. Well, little did you know, all you needed to do was take a blunt rolling class.
Dun 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 dun.
Oh, so we have to.
So anyway, cupcakes, man. I don't know. It's a crazy thing.
Was that a scene from a rom-com?
I don't know what that was. I feel like if we were,
right.
I feel like we were supposed to like be teaching like a middle school class, like about how music can shape your soul.
Here's about how you talk to girls. You go to a class about the world and.
No,
we're gonna add that verse over top of it.
I really was.
Yeah.
Snip it in.
I was enjoying what you were doing and wanted to see what you had next. That's why I was looking at you. I didn't mean to scare you.
Something about Master Chef Junior and chocolate curls, I'm sure, would have been the next line.
Master Chef Juniors, man.
What's the equivalent
those kids make
to the brunch we had today in Cleveland?
The equivalent. So we all spent what, $32?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. In Cleveland, if I were spending $32, I would spend $3 more. And there's this spot called Pier W, which on Sundays has an all-you-can-eat brunch buffet with like seafood, and it's like real high-scale, classy. It's $35, and it's includes a mimosa or champagne and your breakfast.
Do they have donuts?
They do not. They have like sweets and stuff, but no donuts.
I think I'll take the Brooklyn one.
Yeah. They do have beignets, which are fancy donuts.
Close enough. Yeah.
But other than that, like, I like to go for brunch in Cleveland. I like the casino brunch is dope. That's like $25 all you can eat.
casino.
Does that come with
Yeah.
$10 in vouchers or no?
No, it comes with free parking if you stay long enough.
They validate. Is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
and then there's a couple spots that I like to eat.
I
like,
thought
cheap.
validation is why you eat in the first
No,
place.
Validation is why I eat.
In the first place.
Yeah,
It's not nice.
Okay.
like I tend to eat the same things. Pussy,
like shrimp
no, sorry.
cocktail.
Clams Casino.
Mostly
Do they have
pho.
those in the casino buffet?
Clams Casino at
Yeah.
the casino would probably just make you die.
Well,
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. It's like having the.
clever marketing though.
Very clever.
Would you ever eat the 7-layer Mexican dip at the strip club?
No.
I've heard strip club food is good. I don't go to strip clubs. It's
In
like
Portland, they have lots of good food that are in strip clubs.
You like how he saved himself at the end of that
Yeah.
sentence. He's like, you got a lot of good food in Portland at the the naked places.
Then they dance on the poles and stuff.
the strip ladies.
Those, lovely ladies that take their clothes off for money.
I couldn't speak to the food. I thought the beers sucked at that place, but it's not hard.
There were beers there. We just didn't drink any.
Okay, that's
You
probably
didn't
why I
say?
thought they sucked.
Yeah, there.
Fucking so light and airy.
It's okay. We had a little bit of everybody was getting angry at the people who wouldn't get up to leave
Yeah.
at this place.
Like, because, we were standing outside waiting for an hour and a half. There's a hostess who's, like, getting everyone's name and, like, figuring out how to seat people. We had a group of 5, which is a little bigger than a lot of things would
Odd
be.
number, yeah.
I gave her my blood type
You did give her your blood type.
to seal the deal.
And then, but we kept seeing through the window, like, people would be done eating, but they'd just be sitting there, like, chatting. Which is,
I guess what you do
Sunday,
on a
you got to
Sunday.
do
There's-
hanging out. I
There's
get
a
it.
word. There's a word for what they were doing, and it's dawdling.
dawdling. That is correct.
They were dawdling.
And once we got inside, we noticed the peril of people outside. So we were committed to, as soon as we're done eating, we're leaving.
You know,
Oh yeah,
good
take
guys.
up the proletarian struggle at that point and move resolutely through the day of food.
But there was a group of gals next to us. They ate dessert, like, kind of a couple minutes after we got there, and then they're just sitting around chatting. And then we noticed the people outside, like, staring daggers at them. So I wrote...
So you decided to eavesdrop on their conversation.
Yeah, and they were just talking about a bunch of bullshit, just a bunch of white people shit.
Nothing real. Nothing
Yeah.
real. No real
Just-
talk.
No
So I wrote a
substance.
note to the people waiting outside, like, don't worry, we hate them too. And I held it up to the window, but they were all Asian, so we don't think they knew how to read it.
What?
Because Asians can't read.
I strongly
Yeah,
reject
they're just,
this notion.
We just thought they were tourists. Is what
Yeah.
we're saying. They were just coming in there because they heard about pies and thighs.
Yeah.
Because they didn't read it.
I was told-
They looked at that note many times and they didn't really make reference to understanding it.
Okay, so you're
at
saying they
all.
could have been foreigners and not read English.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, it's still the same thing. They can't read.
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between not reading English and being illiterate.
Yeah, that's very true. But if you can't read English, you are illiterate. 'Cause this is America. No?
Okay.
No? Too
No,
American?
no.
No.
That's real. That's
No.
real talk.
That's
That's fine.
fair. That's
Bring
fair.
it on.
If you can read, you can read.
Another tautology from Blazer Ramon.
Yeah, man. I'm only totalities in gray areas. That's all I am.
I'm strictly 50 Shades.
I was told.
Mike,
I was
we're
told.
gonna get through this entire podcast without someone saying 50 Shades of Grey.
I didn't. You did. Ah, dick.
I was told Commodore in. Where's Knitting Factory,
Williamsburg,
Kenny?
right?
Williamsburg. Commodore in Williamsburg. I was told it has real good chicken.
They have very
you're
good
gonna
fried
say
chicken.
strippers.
So I'm gonna eat that shit later.
Yeah.
What? You're going to go more
I'm gonna
chicken
get
after you
more
already had
chicken.
chicken today?
You know why? Because when I eat chicken, I like to make sure as many of them die as possible.
You should get the grenade launcher attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maximum
I think it's
spread.
funny that, like, people will eat, like, chicken wings by, like, a whole dozen or 3 dozen. It's like lots of little chickens died for this.
Because you're envisioning all these wingless chickens.
But it's only half as many as you think died.
No, I ordered twice as many just
They
so
have 2 wings.
just so it balances out, you know.
Does anybody remember how many dishes we ordered today?
I ordered
Everybody had 3.
I had chicken and waffles, chicken biscuit with bacon, and then a side biscuit.
Got to get that side biscuit.
There's
in there.
starch a lot.
Biscuit, yeah. I like to hold it down with my
I got my main biscuit, but then I got my side
You got my
biscuit.
side biscuit.
yeah. She holds me down. I just call that biscuit at 1 a.m. like, hey, I'm gonna come through and put some honey on you.
Lenny Starchman. By day, humble comedian by night.
Mm-hmm.
Biscuit purveyor.
Purveyor
By
of
mid-morning.
biscuits.
This is going back to the strip club because I can't stop thinking about it, but I don't know if I've even told this before, but when I was first year in college, me and a couple friends went to Dayton, which is very sort of close to Cleveland.
It's about 3.5 hours.
And they had like a
That's
they
not
had
that close,
the
Jeremy.
For the
Yeah, but I mean, it's in the
for the
same state.
listener, Ramon is holding his hands this far apart right now.
and we went
That's
to
that far.
we went to one of the places where you paid for the window to come up. You know, ever said this? I don't think so.
It's called the
You're- Peep
Blinds
show? You're at a
Place.
peep show?
But then that was my first like any strip club experience, I think. And so we went into this and we didn't know any better, so we all jammed in one room, which
No.
it's frowned upon. So when the window came up and this chubby, way past her prime, I guess stripper came by, she was pointing to the hole, and we were drunk, obviously. No, I'm not putting my dick in that hole. Like, why would I do that?
Oh, there's a glory hole in there?
Turns out it was for the money.
Oh.
But drunk Jeremy was
like,
thinking
I'm
other
not-
things. Yeah.
No glory holes for Jeremy.
It was
Sure they had
it
one
was
of
a
those.
coin slot, but he was still trying to fit his dick into it.
I mean, he was drunk, but not that drunk.
And it wasn't a hole; it was a slot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was a slot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're telling us a lot about your own
It was a great
the
story.
shape of your penis.
Yeah, great story, Jeremy.
At
Could
least
fit
I'm
in that
talking much.
slot.
He was arrested for breaking and entering, but he was not carrying any burglary tools.
Just kept putting his dick in the mail slot.
Somehow it just worked.
That guy died. There was a guy who was caught in England fucking a mailbox, and he just passed away recently. Look it up, people.
Because he was stuck in the mailbox still?
No,
or
no,
because
no.
he died
No,
of
no,
old
no.
age?
No,
or
he
what
had-
did he die of?
He was just stuck in
unclear.
there for the last
He's just
15
stuck
years.
It's unclear.
A different jealous mailbox found out about it.
Yeah.
His headstone is just a mailbox.
That sounds is the most plausible.
Well, it's snowing outside.
It is.
At least we're
been
not standing out there
It's been
anymore.
about
That was the worst fucking
6
part.
inches.
An hour of standing in the snow.
So we're halfway to an album.
Yeah.
I like how the hostess at Pies and Thighs was like generally concerned for your well being at first, and then was like, "Oh, it's fine. Like you're comfortable, right?" And you're like, "No, I'm not really that."
Well, you know,
comfortable."
here's what I think. Here's what I think happened. There was a group of people who went in. They came after us, and they went and stood inside. And then that big cluster of people left. And then I noticed those people who were in the door were gone. So what I think they did is they just walked into the back and sat down.
Smart.
And then that chick came out and like, oh, those people are still at that table, but I'm clearing this one out front for you.
That's not a.
That's what I
a
think
pretty
happened.
Good, prognosis of the situation.
So that's why I poisoned her tip.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Arsenic on
We
the
all
bills?
touched that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
You're all going to exhibit sickness signs in the next few days and then die.
All days. That's
Yeah.
fine. I thought it was today, like
No.
during the podcast.
no, we
No,
have a
man,
couple
you can
days
get-
to
yeah,
like
you can
sew everything up.
To edit it, right? I
Yeah.
gotta get this edited.
Yeah, post
Post the podcast
it
first.
before
Yeah,
you
yeah,
die.
no, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I want to get
copy.
these new followers.
But what about the parents? Like, should we call like family?
Trying to
or
get those
anything?
new
No.
followers.
No,
man.
just the podcast.
Okay.
Done and done.
Yeah.
Any
Fuck
last
your family,
requests? Make sure the podcast comes out.
You live in Cleveland still?
I do live in Cleveland.
That's kind of awesome that you can
dude,
live
he's-
and then sort of just travel around doing
He's like
comedy.
royalty in Cleveland. You heard, right? It's like a 2-bedroom, washer dryer.
No, I actually I had to move out of that place and then I didn't
Into
wanna
a palace.
And if that's what you want to call my dad's house, I moved back in with my dad, and then that's kind of why I don't have to pay rent anymore. So I just I save money and just travel. So like I've been in New York. I got here February 3rd. I leave March 4th. Then I'll be in Chicago March 12th through 24th, and then back to Cleveland. And then I think I'll be back here a week or so in April, and then I'm planning on LA all of May. And then I might go.
Look at all the things you can do when you don't have to pay fucking rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
amazing, you know, and you know, it's not terrible. It's not great, you know. Like you said, there's less opportunities for things there, but it's kind of a benefit to develop anonymously because you can also fail anonymously. Like here, I feel like there's a lot more pressure just on people who are just performing in general. Like there's a pressure to like, I need to tangibly make movement or progression in this thing I'm doing. And if you're not, you get very stressed and anxious, and you feel like a loser and a failure. And,
oh, sure. New York City is the trash compactor of Star Wars.
Yeah, it just crushes you down. And it's I'm not in a rush to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, you seem like you're making your own moves and doing shit on your own terms. Like you come to New York and you're from Cleveland and you know get spots opening for Canaan and
and that's all come from just in Cleveland. I run a lot of my own shows. They're called Accidental Comedy Club, and I run a lot of them. So I've worked with Canaan, I've worked with Kurt Braunohler, I've worked with a lot of people. So like when I come to New York, like I actually like know a lot of these people are like we've done shows together, we like each other. I have their phone number, like we hang out, we talk. And it's not, I don't feel out of place, if that makes sense. But also, if I had moved from Cleveland 2-3 years ago, I wouldn't know any of those people.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't have worked with them. And in New York, you know, you do a show and you leave right after your set. So you don't get that same.
So you put yourself on the AA team for a couple of years and worked yourself up.
Yeah, you know, and I do as much comedy as I can in Cleveland. Like last year, my New Year's resolution was to average a set a day.
And you did better than that, as I recall.
432 is what I ended at.
You know what that is? That's more than 1.1 a day.
Yeah. So, you know, I did I did as much as I could.
Math.
Yeah. And a lot of it was in Cleveland. And
but it still counts.
It does still count. And you know, when I come here, I feel like I do well. And it's good. There is the benefit to, you know, being the guy in an area. And then, you know,
how many Hispanic guys are there in Cleveland?
Hispanic people or like
in general? Yeah. And then we'll narrow it down to comedians after that.
I don't know. The Hispanic community in Cleveland seems kind of weirdly hidden or small. I'd say maybe 15-20%.
It is the winter months too.
It is the winter months, so we scurry away. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It depends on the city. Like my hometown, which is Lorain, Ohio. It's actually very much like New York. Like the mix is like probably like 40% Hispanic, like 30% white, 20% the rest.
How many are the stars that still have rent controlled apartments?
Not many of them, man. Not many. But it's weird because Cleveland's going through this weird like resurgence as a city. Like downtown, they're building all these like condos and apartment complexes, and people are like moving downtown in like droves
with names like the Driscoll and the Diebler.
Actually, like the 9 and like
that one. Yeah.
Clean nucleus.
But it's at like 9. It's at like 9 Elm Street.
It's just Cleveland.
Yeah, New Cleveland. Yeah, just a bunch.
There's one called the Cuyahoga. There's probably 10 housing projects, new developments called the Cuyahoga.
Yeah, and you can only live there if you're surly. You play games with people's emotions. But yeah, I don't know. I like coming to New York. Like I've had a lot of fun adventures every time I've come here. It's great. Like I met you guys 2 trips ago. I feel like I met you guys back in like June.
Littlefield?
Littlefield. I remember. No, it wasn't Littlefield. It was at
It was at Dave Hill's radio show.
Dave Hill's goddamn radio show.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Goddamn Dave Hill.
Yeah, that was fun. I think it might have been last winter because I remember I had my scarf with me.
Yeah, you did have that scarf.
Yeah,
it was tough to find a bro more chill than Dave Hill, but here we are.
Yeah, man, I'm super chill.
I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah, Dave Hill's the man.
Also from Cleveland.
Yeah, also from, but he didn't start comedy in Cleveland. He started comedy in New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was just like a writer for like a freelance writer for like the paper and like random things. And then he was in a dope band called Sons of Elvis. And
yeah.
Did you think about doing music criticism or something like that? Doing criticism?
Criticism of things? I mean, I feel like on stage as a comedian, I criticize a lot of things.
That's a life critique.
Yeah. I don't know why I said it like that.
Is it like a revelation? Yeah, you just realizing, oh my God, Mike said something that made sense.
I just had a breakthrough.
One of my favorite activities with like my friends growing up was just like busting each other's balls or like ripping on something. So like that is kind of I only do that when I'm comfortable with people or with or like as far as like busting people's balls that I know. But like to make fun of a stranger, like I'll do that all the time. That's
so. Which one means more?
It means more when I'm making fun of like my friend
who you care about,
who I care about, because I'm making I don't know.
But what if a stranger's like, you told me I look like the Chucky doll at a show one time?
Yeah,
that meant a lot.
Like I saw an old lady, and like it's easy to describe. Like it looks like she just stares at the sun because her eyes are all squint. Like it's just like I don't know. You can just make fun of people easy.
I'm learning.
Yeah, man.
You make fun of your niece.
I do make fun of my niece. She got mad at me because I used to make jokes that call her fat. Because she kind of is. My old joke I used to do is she came home from school one day and she said that some ugly girl tried to sit next to her at lunch, but she told her she wasn't allowed. I'm like, you can't talk to people like that. Like I'm like, you're on the top row at concert recitals. Like you're big, you're fat. Like you can't talk to people like that.
Top row.
Yeah, that's where I was, man. It was a terrible place.
The top row?
Yeah.
Isn't it annoying when you have size order in class and you have to walk through the lines? But
yeah.
Towards the end, they're just like, just throw all the fat and tall kids together. It's almost like the big and tall store is separate from the rest of the line.
Yeah. I remember I think it was like I was in like 4th or 5th grade. This big girl.
You're going to love the way you look, I guarantee it.
This big girl at a concert recital passed out and fell on all the smaller kids in front of.
I passed out at a concert recital.
But you were probably in the front row.
I was in the front row. Also, I was on the ground.
Yeah.
In front of the stage.
Indian style.
I was standing up and I was in an Easter Bunny outfit.
Oh,
that's why I passed out. Yeah, I was overheated.
There's no vents in there.
No, but there were like 4 bunny costumes and I got the gray bunny, so it was the hottest one.
Damn. If only you could have got the slutty bunny.
What? Oh, is that just like a head and some ears and a bikini? Yeah. No, it wasn't a Halloween costume.
It's a little tail at the back.
Just a little Peter Cottontail puff.
I don't know the things that network TV tries to portray in shows. It's just silly. Why would you ever try to portray the Playboy Club on network television?
Yeah, why that needs to be like an HBO shit.
Yeah, and do it properly.
Yeah.
Skinamax.
Yeah, a lot of TV.
Want to see
really
those
weird,
titties?
man. A lot of TV's real weird.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, did I go too far by saying that?
I'm sorry. Yeah, dude. What the fuck?
I'm sorry.
They're called memories.
Wasn't the dude who had captured those 2 girls in Cleveland?
Girls.
Isn't his name Ramon?
No. His name is.
He looks a lot like you.
His name is Ariel Castro.
Oh, Castro. Right. Yeah, Ariel Castro.
Yeah. So Cleveland, we had that dude. We had that dude. We had Anthony Sowell, who was like a serial killer, and he was a black serial killer. He killed like 9, killed and buried 9 women behind his house, and like people thought it was the local like sausage place was the reason it smelled bad.
Oh,
and it's like, we must not think much of sausage. And then like our police department just had like the Justice Department filed like a 59-page like lambasting of them for like a bunch of like use of excessive force and shit they told them about 10 years ago that they didn't fix.
And they still haven't fixed it.
But and then overall the city's getting better. No. Don't let me being real keep you from liking.
Hey, come on downtown.
I just like to speak both sides of the thing because there's definitely like.
Where's Dahmer? Isn't Dahmer from?
He's from Hinckley, which is like a suburb. It's probably like half hour outside of Cleveland.
That's far enough away. We don't have to. We don't have to bring him in.
For the listener, Ramon held his hands this far apart again.
I did. Everything's about this far apart.
You're safe
in Cleveland. But yeah, it's there's definitely a tale of 2 Clevelands. Like there's the side that's popular and like yay, and then there's the side that's like me. Which if you couldn't, I pulled my collar when I'd made that noise
for the listeners.
He's popping his collar. Well, there's that street or neighborhood that has all those like massive old school like mansions that used to be like, when it was all thrived out.
Yeah,
Cleveland, and now there's like a lot of empty ones. I have a friend that like lives in one.
Yeah, I mean, you could live for what most people pay for their like East Village apartment. You can have like a huge like Rockefeller estate type of house. And
did you hear this, people? Move to Ohio.
Move to Cleveland. Let's hang out.
Work on your comedy. Work your way up the chain.
Work on anything. I feel like because for a long time Cleveland didn't have an industry because like it was for its strength for a while was like manufacturing. So it was like shipyards, steel yards, auto industry, and those all died since the 70s. Those have all slowly died, and so Cleveland kind of bottomed out in like the late 80s, and then the rest of the country went through the depression like the early 2000s. So in that time, there was just a really like just an entrepreneurial like hospitality industry that kept Cleveland afloat. And like now there's just a bunch of like small businesses that add up to like a big thing.
Like Voltron.
Yeah. It's it's weird.
Would you say there was a correlation between Cleveland going down in the late 80s and Major League?
This is the biggest word you use today, correlation.
Yeah,
Write that down.
it definitely it put the downward spiral in the general public's like Rolodex, like because everyone who lived in Cleveland knew that's what was happening, but
by God, Bob Euchre. When people around
around
the country saw that Bob Euchre had to comment on these
and
things,
just get drunk, that's yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. They've been filming a lot of movies in Cleveland. Like they filmed the last 2 Avengers there, some of Captain America 2 there.
Huh.
With respect, that's because it costs a little less to build
way less
Times Square in Cleveland and knock it down as opposed to in Times Square.
And then also, like, for the first Avengers, they shut down like a major street, like 9th Street, which is like the main artery downtown.
And you know what?
For
Nobody noticed.
For a month.
Nobody noticed in Cleveland.
They also
it did not affect commerce whatsoever.
They shut down a free part of the freeway for Captain America 2 for like 2 weeks. And it's just like they can't.
Just cool with it.
Well, they were complaining. People complained about it, but
2 people called the news.
Yeah,
2 total people.
But it's cool to see that type of stuff like starting to happen there. But yeah, obviously, it's small.
You'll get a Batman movie one of these days, and then you'll know that you've made it because I know Pittsburgh had one.
They did have one.
So then when you get it, we get one.
One day,
there's that rival again.
No, I like Pittsburgh. I haven't been in a couple years, but last time it was great. I mean,
I think it's the same sort of thing as like Cleveland's doing, Cincinnati's doing it too. Is that the downtown is being revived?
You guys are getting at the Rust Belt, is what you're getting.
Yeah,
at.
Rust Belt.
You're getting at the Rust Belt.
Well, I know specifically in Cleveland, it's because like 6 years ago, there was Forbes put out its list of most miserable cities, and Cleveland was number 1. Oh. So there's a big backlash to that.
That was a wake-up call for the city.
What was that YouTube video that you showed me?
Cleveland tourism video.
Cleveland tourism.
That's my buddy Mike Polk made that. That
was fun.
Yeah, he just went downtown and just waved his camera around and sang a dumb song.
We're not Detroit.
Yeah. We're not Detroit.
And it's like blown up from there, like just to show you how big of a footprint Cleveland seems to have. Like that went super viral, and then he made like it was in like Capitalism, a Love Story. It's been on Tosh.0, and then he also did a mock version of it for the NBA on TNT.
Oh, really?
Like when the Cavs were in the playoffs a couple years ago. So it's just like it's weird how like just this dumb thing about Cleveland like just like blew up, and because there's a lot of people from there, you know.
It's that fan
because
base
they don't want to
again,
stay
man.
there.
Yeah, that's very true. But like one of my favorite things is when I'll be out on the road and people ask me what my intro is. I'm like, just in town from Cleveland. It's fine. Like I'm a simple dude. And then so when they're like, your next comic's from Cleveland, there's always a couple like woo, and like I live for those woos. Like those woos are what I like. I enjoy those. So
I get a similar thing from Jersey.
yeah,
Same thing.
I went to Jersey.
Brooklyn,
Hardly.
or New York City. It's kind of like from New York City, everybody's excited.
No.
I went to Jersey. One of my first nights here this trip. I did a show in like a crust punk house basement
in New Brunswick or something.
Yeah. And I learned that New Jersey is mostly just motels and Dunkin' Donuts. That's like all we saw. We literally counted. There were 20 Dunkin' Donuts on the
way out there.
On the way to this place.
Well, you're by the turnpike.
Yeah, but still, there was like one.
He's able to pinpoint your location
just
by the total,
based on how many
number.
Dunkin' Donuts you found.
Oh, you took the 20 Dunkin' route. You were going past 216. That's easily. Yeah, you would have gotten caught up.
I can take you around the way that you can get a Wawa and a Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh shit, we did hit a Wawa on the way out.
You were never hungry again.
Nah, son.
It's like ordering with a robot. There's something amazing about just ordering it and not talking to anyone, and then they just hand you a sandwich.
Yeah, it's great.
Life is good.
Well, that's a very antisocial thing.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I mean,
sounds like you've really embraced the whole William Gibson.
Every other restaurant I go to, you have to talk to people, but it's not even a restaurant, but that's the one place where I just.
Jeremy, let me tell you about a place you'd like. It's called Japan.
Prison.
It's called
Japan.
It's called Japan. You can get the sushi off the conveyor belt and never talk to a human.
Also, jail.
And jail.
You would
Yeah,
like jail.
prison Rikers.
Oh, nobody likes Rikers.
Rikers is having a problem.
Yeah, what is that? I just read the food or the food is bad. Don't eat the food.
Don't eat the food at Rikers.
Thanks. Helpful hints for travelers. Say that you're from Cleveland, even when you're not. Avoid the food at Rikers Island if you're traveling in the New York City area.
Yeah, they only have a 1-star on Yelp.
Rikers.
There was something in my soup.
That was a
like
shank.
a condom.
It was a shank.
Yeah. I was trying to get you out. The only time I was ever in Cleveland was for the Warped Tour.
Oh, nice.
In
That was a
the
while
90s.
ago. We
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
had that. Yeah. We haven't had it in
The only
so
time I
long.
was ever in Rikers was for the Warped Tour.
Warped Tour Rikers
I
edition.
went a little crazy during the Vandal set.
No, it was cool because it was down.
It's probably right next door at Randall's Island, too, wasn't it?
was right.
Fucking A.
It was right in the middle of the city, and you got the buildings all around you, and you sit there and listen to No Effects and Green Day.
Okay.
Is that what you were there to see? No Effects in Green Day?
I think that I don't know who did it. I'm sure they were there. But No Effects was there every year. It seemed like MXPX as well.
So,
Come over here.
There it is.
okay.
Yeah.
So, Danny, you do comedy and music.
Yes.
What environment do you think is necessary? Can both of them exist in the same performance space at the same time?
Yeah, if
on the
Jeremy
same
would
show?
let us smoke in the living room, but
Yeah.
he won't. What an asshole.
Way to be a real dickbag, Jeremy.
Dickbag.
It's funny you brought that up because the last episode we did a live podcast and Jounce played.
That's true.
But I guess
think a
that's not
podcast is
comedy
still different.
and
But I mean, like back in the day, they used to do, they used to have a lot of stand-ups that open for bands and stuff.
Yeah, like I've been hanging out with Big J Ogerson, and he went on tour, like opening for like
Stained.
Stained and like System of a Down and like
Yeah.
fucking.
I mean, I like that. I like having a little bit of diversity in the performance.
I just feel like in those when it's like everyone's there for music and you throw comedy up first, the comedy's not going to be great.
what's like
No.
like
but
it's not going to
it's-
settle.
but
It's not going
yeah.
to settle in properly.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Let me give you an
less
idea.
it's less of a warming up the crowd and
Right.
more of a just like here's a novelty. It's a new different
Yeah.
thing. Like everybody doesn't want to just see some fucking opening band. Like here's a comedian
Yeah.
instead. It's like
When he started, he was opening up for Candlebox.
Okay.
Then he moved on to Nickelback.
Okay.
Now
I'd rather
that's
be
where he
Candlebox.
opens. Yeah, and now
That's
he
cool.
opens for Slipknot.
I feel like it's,
no, I don't.
I feel like it's kind of like we do stand-up shows when sometimes we do sketches
Mm-hmm.
in the stand-up shows, and that's a whole different. Like people can't get their minds. Sometimes it takes them like a good
Yeah.
3-4 minutes to be like, oh,
Because you
I
have
see
to
what you're doing.
your brain
It's a
like
different crowd.
yeah
It's a
with
different
with
mindset.
music you can just the song's over and you start clapping. You can talk while it's happening.
Right.
With stand up, it's more like you have to pay attention for it to work, and then also it tends to be quicker. You get it every minute or so, and a lot of times with like sketches, it's 2-3 minutes of you absorbing information and maybe
Absolutely,
little
yeah.
laughs, but then like a big payoff at the end or in
Right.
the middle.
We've
Yeah,
never
it's
had
a
one of those.
setup.
yeah, I mean,
don't know
you guys are obviously all just set up.
Yeah, we
there's
don't have
never any
anything.
punch.
Yeah, there's never ever a punchline.
Never any big laughs.
For the listener, Ramon's talking about Dan and Jeremy on this one.
Yeah, Mike's obviously all punchlines.
Pretty much Punchline
Yeah.
Central.
It's Comedy Central's offshoot
yeah.
Digi channel that you just got on your.
Do you do a lot of
on
those
your
though?
phone.
Do you do a lot where there's a band involved and you're doing a set?
I've done a couple. Like I got asked to host like a music show, so it was like 10 bands, and they were like, just do your time up top and then do in between while they're setting up. It was the worst. Like, cause like in the beginning it was just like the band, so like all the bands liked me, and then I brought the first band up, and then they played, and like more people were streaming in as the show went on. And then, like, every time the band would end, I'd go up and they'd be setting up and tearing down behind me.
Yeah.
And then everyone's talking and no one's paying attention. So I'm just like, just resorted to just getting people to like whoop, or I'd make fun of people like close by or whoever's making eye contact with me, like I
Right.
talk to. But like, I couldn't do well, but I made rent money
Yeah.
from that, you know.
But you didn't feel like you could express yourself properly.
No, I just felt like, you know, you're saying a joke and you can't tell if anyone's listening. I had people come up and tell me sometimes after that, like, "Oh, I saw you at this music show.
You're
You were
blocking
really
the
funny." And it's just like
stage.
that's the worst. Like, you need to see me
Yeah.
somewhere that it's not. But the other day I went with my buddy Kenny, and he was doing a show. Where was that?
Le Poisson Rouge.
Le Poisson
That's a
Rouge,
great
and it
place.
was like stand up and then pole dancing, and it would alternate.
makes sense.
So it was a weird, like, the pole dancing is short enough and like intense enough where the audience was like, "Oh, this is a nice respite from having to think."
Are there low ceilings in there?
No, it was pretty high.
Okay.
It was pretty high ceilings. I mean, there was a big 10-foot 10-foot pole. But yeah, there would be like a comic would go up and do like 10, 15, and then like one pole dance, which is about less than 5 minutes, and then they just staggered them like that. So it wound up being a good, that mixed well. And I've seen other shows where
talk about variety shows.
Where like like the Knitting Factory on Sundays does a good job. Once a month they'll have like a musical guest in the back, so it'll be like stand up, musical guest,
chainsaw
intermission,
juggler.
yeah, and it'll kind of go through. But I found in general it's hard to mesh them to where everything can be the best it can be.
Yeah,
right.
I would agree with that. I think there's, I think it's just different headspace.
Yeah.
It's hard to change people in 5 or 10 minutes and then be like, okay, here's your band now. This is what you wanted to see.
Unless
and
you
then
go into it as a variety show. Like, I think we do all right, but it's not music, so it doesn't. But I mean, if like we have a variety show format, you know what I mean? Then people are like, oh, I expect anything.
Yeah,
I don't have like a specific.
But you have to train the audience to know.
And that means that you have to do it a bunch and you have to get people to come back and.
I think you can really set the tone by the aesthetic of your flyer. The flyer for the show is really going to let people know what they're in store for.
Yeah, a lot of
you have in store for them.
A lot of people don't make good flyers though. Like, because I'm a firm fan that like gig art and promote like posters and shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
They make a big difference. They make an impact on like the way people receive the show, the way their expectations are. If it looks kitschy and cool, they're like, oh, this is going to be a hip thing to be at. But most people will just put like a generic.
Like a pitchfork that turns into a chandelier, and then the 3 people are hanging off the chandelier. And those are the comedians.
The ransom note. The ransom note is like
and then but also they won't have like the venue address. They'll just have like the name. Like it's just like
right. They
so
don't
many
give you all the things that you need.
Yeah, and so it's like you're putting this thing out and it doesn't say where it is or what time or what It's just like
it becomes amateur hour.
So Ramon is teaching a flyer workshop.
I am.
At the Cuyahoga downtown Cleveland.
The learning annex.
Followed by Michael Morona doing an advertising and marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does that shit too.
That's what he does on the side when he's not in a sweater vest.
Yeah, I wore my V-neck sweater just to push this sale through.
Well,
hi, Ramon.
Gentlemen.
Hey, Ramon, I'd like to tell you about your table. It was handcrafted in Bali. It was washed ashore after the house it was made in was wrecked in the typhoon. We reclaimed it and smuggled it into the U.S. piece by piece and painstakingly reassembled it here in Brooklyn to serve you a meal on.
All right. Well, if that's the case, I'm just going to order to go. I don't like Bollywood.
Okay. Well, we're just if you want to just stand inside the curtain, we're going to put checks on these 5 people's tables and wonder if they accept them or not.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can't tell them to leave, so
yeah, we can't tell them to leave, but we'll put the check there. And
but we can rack. We can rack.
We're gonna
give them
their check, and then you just go stand directly next to their table and go.
I suggested crop dusting. I think that would work.
Crop dusting would have worked too, but it's kind of gross because then everyone would have had to smell it. But the fact that
especially Jeremy's farts, my God,
the restaurant is on a corner and there's open windows everywhere. You can see how shitty it is and how many people are waiting.
How shitty it is outside. I should specify how shitty it is outside. No, inside people are enjoying themselves. It's like freaking.
Yeah, we walked in. Thin Lizzy
Christmas
was
Carol
playing,
in there.
Big Star was playing. Television was playing. I mean, it had everything. The soundtrack that I wanted for my brunch, but outside was not cool.
Outside was not where it was.
And everybody could see that. So when you're out at brunch. And the weather's shitty.
Have a care for the people behind you online.
Think about those people
and
outside
hurry along your meal.
Toes.
Think about them.
Quit dawdling.
Get out the way, and continue your Sunday fun day adventure.
Just exactly. Remember Ludacris? So just do it.
The rest of my day, I'm gonna go to the Knitting Factory. They do a great comedy show every Sunday. I'm gonna go watch that. A bunch of my friends are performing. And then I go back to Cleveland Wednesday.
What about some other plugs there? What's your where can people find you?
Online, you can find me. My name on everything is Blazer Ramon, because I wear a lot of sport coats.
Gotcha.
I'm all over. I come out to New York a lot. I'll be in Chicago in a couple weeks at Up Comedy Club, and then Laugh Factory, and this place called Comedy Bar, and a bunch of indie shows around town.
So by the time this comes out, you'll be there.
Yeah, I'll probably be in Chicago.
Yeah. So if you're listening from Chicago,
so
go see Blazer.
Blazer Ramon.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for braving the snow and the frozen feet and.
No worries, man.
We spent a lot of time together today.
Yeah, man, it was good. I'm glad we hung out.
Some of it is warmer than the other time that we spent together.
Yeah, no, it's all been great. Like, I think it's cool. Like, we did that radio show a year ago, and
We just
like actually became friends. Like we're buddies.
We
like
cuddled.
You come to shows before. We smoked weed. I wanted to keep that.
Mom,
private,
it never happened.
No,
my mother listens to this podcast.
Yeah, well, I did getting dug with high when I was in LA, and I swear if my parents find it, they're gonna be upset.
Oh man,
I wish my parents.
You should not have mailed them the link.
Weed. I didn't mean to mail them the link. I was stoned and I sent the link.
My dad for my birthday just got me a bag of weed.
Really?
Yeah, we're at that point.
I thought he would give you a break on the rent for that.
No, I mean I just don't pay rent. I think I'm supposed to, but I'm just like I'm not going to.
Do you cook? Do you cook for him? Do you do anything?
You do some chores around the house or anything?
House?
Yeah.
Nah.
Take out the garbage.
Do you buy bathroom tissue?
All I do is
put him on the guest list?
I follow my dream.
You change the water in the bong occasionally.
My dad has this weird. I do change my bong water. My dad has this weird aspiration for me. He wants me to get famous enough so he can be my driver. Not so that I'll take care of him, just so he can be my driver, and then it shows I'll point out women I want and he'll bring them to me after the show. That's what my dad my dad's told me that 20 times over the past few years. Like he literally, that's what he wants.
Anyone who's a bigwig in entertainment listening to this podcast, please help out.
Package deal. Me and my dad
and
the guy who did that for Bill Cosby had a breakdown and confessed about how guilty
I mean,
he
I'm
felt
not trying to live that life. I told my dad, I was like, I can just go talk to him myself.
Your dad can testify against you in court.
Yeah, but he's proud of what I'm doing, even though I'm living with him. It's so weird. It's so weird to live that life. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see, like, because for about 2 years, my family was like, so when are you gonna go back to school and get a job, maybe, just go do it, just get your degree, that way you have it, and then you'll have in case it doesn't. And it's just like, no, I don't want a safety net. I'm just gonna do this. This is what I like. It's what I'm passionate about.
It's also like they're saying, when you inevitably fail, we want you to have a college degree. It's not a lot of faith.
Yeah, and it's just no. If I fail, I'll fail on my terms.
Yeah,
and
fuck yeah, man.
And that's just not an option.
I'm failing on my terms as we speak.
Yeah,
so,
it brings us to where you are today, in a basement in Park Slope,
recording a podcast.
Man, Park Slope is nice. This is a nice place.
It's nice, but it's you're paying to live here.
Yeah,
that's all you're buying.
Yeah,
I want that Cleveland money, son.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Stretch that dollar.
Well, Ramon, thanks so much for hanging out.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me, guys. I love you.
We love you, Ramon.
I was just talking to Jeremy.
We're brunch. We're brunch brothers.
Oh God,
let's cut ourselves with the knife right now and be brunch brothers. So there you have it. As we wrap up this snowy adventure, we remember the lessons we've learned. I was the only member of the Clean Plate Club today. You can live like a king in Cleveland, and Ramon Rivas is better at New Year's resolutions than any of us. But most of all, remember that your fake TV brothers are here for you and will always have your backs, adventure after adventure, year after year.
The Adventures of Danny and Mike stars Danny Tamborelli and Michael C. Morona. The show is produced by Jeremy Balin and Marianne Ways. This podcast is part of the Feral Audio Podcasting Collective and can be found on their website at feralaudio.com. For more information on the guys, visit our website at dannyandmike.com. Also, look us up on Twitter at Danny and Mike with Yan spelled out, and on Facebook at facebook.com/The Adventures of Danny and Mike. Thanks for listening.
Feral Audio.